The alarm screamed through the training facility with a piercing wail that would have sent any reasonable species scrambling for shelter. In the dim light of the nursery chamber, 6 sets of luminous eyes snapped open, reflecting the red emergency strobes like tiny suns. The Vrax cubs, apex predators from a death world 3 times as hostile as old Earth, erupted into action. Kira was the first on her feet, her obsidian scales bristling as bioelectric currents crackled along her spine. At only 6 months old, she already stood waist-high to most species in the Galactic Council, her razor-sharp claws gouging furrows in the reinforced floor. Her siblings followed her lead, forming a defensive circle with military precision that would have impressed their ancestors who once ruled the crimson jungles of Raxus Prime. Their snarls harmonized into a war chorus that could liquefy organs at close range. The youngest male, barely 4 months old, began charging his throat sac with acidic venom. Another cub's tail blade extended with a metallic snick, dripping with paralyzing toxin. The nursery door slid open. Joran walked in carrying a mug of coffee. All right, settle down," he said, his voice carrying none of the panic that should accompany a station-wide emergency. He took a sip from his mug, completely ignoring the fact that 6 juvenile killing machines were in full combat mode around him. "It's just practice. 4th one this week." Kira's predatory instincts warred with her confused recognition. The human stood there in his worn training jacket, looking more annoyed than afraid. Her scales slowly flattened, though her eyes remained fixed on him with the intensity of a creature that could track a heartbeat from a kilometer away. "Practice?" Her translator collar rendered her growl into galactic standard, though the underlying threat remained evident. "The alarm indicates a breach. Sector 7 protocols demand that Administrator Velcron stop scheduling drills at 300 hours when you lot are supposed to be sleeping," Joran interrupted, walking past her without breaking stride. He reached the alarm panel and entered his override code. The wailing ceased, replaced by blessed silence. "That's the 4th time this week he's done this. I swear tentacled bureaucrats have no concept of circadian rhythms." The other cubs looked at Kira, awaiting her lead. She was the boldest, the most alert, the one who never let her guard down. Her mother had been a legendary hunter who'd held off an entire creche raiding party single-handedly. Kira had inherited that paranoia, that constant readiness for threats, but Joran was different. He moved to the temperature controls, adjusting them upward slightly. "Got cold again. I keep telling maintenance that Vrax juveniles need at least 32 degrees Celsius for proper rest. Do they listen? No." He muttered something in that strange Earth language about incompetent station management. Kira's tail lowered incrementally. The human's heartbeat was steady. She could hear it clearly now. No fear pheromones. No adrenaline spike. Just that constant, unshakable calm that had defined him since he'd arrived at the facility 6 months ago. But the breach protocols... Kira tried again. "Are automated," Joran finished, settling into his chair near the observation window. "Real breach? You'd smell it before the alarm went off. Your olfactory sensors can detect hull breaches from 3 sections away. Plus, I'd be running, not walking with coffee." He raised his mug as if to prove his point. "See, not running. Not spilling. Just annoyed." The youngest cub, Tarek, tilted his head with curiosity overriding his combat instincts. "But humans are prey species, soft, slow. How do you know what is dangerous?" Joran laughed. That strange barking sound humans made when amused. "Kid, humans come from a death world too. Just a different kind than yours." He gestured at the viewport where the station orbited a peaceful commerce hub. "See all those ships out there? We built that. Every species in the council said space travel was impossible until we figured it out with controlled explosions and math." Kira's translator processed his words, but her instincts still churned with confusion. "You do not smell like a death worlder." "That's because I showered," Joran replied dryly. "But trust me, Earth's got plenty of things that'll kill you. Spiders the size of your paw, serpents with venom that melts your nervous system, mammals that can kick hard enough to shatter ribs, and weather patterns that'll freeze you solid or cook you alive. We just learned to adapt instead of evolving armor and claws." He took another sip of coffee. "Now, are you cubs going to stand there burning energy all night, or are you going to trust your trainer and get some sleep? We've got agility drills at 0800, and I promise you'll need your rest." Kira's combat stance finally broke. Something in Joran's absolute certainty bypassed her predatory paranoia. He'd never steered them wrong. When he said something was safe, it was safe. When he said danger was coming, like that time the plasma conduit had been failing, he'd evacuated them hours before anyone else noticed the problem. Slowly, she padded back to her heated sleeping pad. Her siblings followed her lead, though they kept glancing at Joran as if expecting him to suddenly reveal this was all a test. "That's my girl," Joran said softly, making a note on his data pad. "Kira, you've got good instincts, but you also need to learn when to stand down. Not every alarm means war. Sometimes it just means Administrator Velkron is an idiot." Kira circled her pad 3 times before settling down, her massive head resting on her claws. "You will wake us if there is real danger?" "Before the alarm even sounds," Joran promised. "I've got sensors you cubs don't even know about. Humans don't have claws or scales, so we got good at seeing trouble before it arrives. Now sleep." The cubs gradually relaxed, their breathing deepening as the warmth and Joran's presence lulled them back toward rest. Tarek was snoring within minutes, his tail twitching as he dreamed of hunting. Kira fought sleep the longest, her eyes fixed on Joran. The human had returned to his data pad, reviewing tomorrow's training schedule with the same calm focus he brought to everything. No fear, no pretense, just competence. As her eyes finally drifted closed, Kira's last thought was that perhaps being the apex predator wasn't about having the sharpest claws or the strongest bite. Perhaps it was about having the confidence to know when those weapons weren't needed. In his chair, Joran smiled slightly as he heard the last cubs breathing even out into sleep. He made another note. Kira responding well to trust-building exercises. Maybe ready for advanced tactical training ahead of schedule. Then he returned to his coffee, keeping watch through the night as he always did. The soft human guarding the fierce predators, unafraid and unshakable, because that's what humans did best.